If you live here in St. Kitts and your tank on E, there's only one place that you should be. Maybe driving in Nevis and you need some fuel. Go straight to Delta. Don't be a fool. Get your cooking gas fast. All petroleum needs ULSD. Everyone in the region is shouting, Go Delta. Premium gasoline in a fully stocked C-store. So there's only one place you should be. Delta Petroleum, baby.
Every day we're faced with choices. To spend or to save. To delay or to stay on track. It's discipline that shapes our future. Because discipline means making the choice today that pays off tomorrow. Remember, discipline, choice, pays. A message from the Development Bank of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Have you heard that Mind, Body, and Soul is back?
Yes, Mind, Body, and Soul is back on Sundays at 4 p.m. only on Freedom FM, hosted by the inspiring Julie Charles. This is your go-to show for thought-provoking and uplifting conversations. Every Sunday, dive into topics that nourish your mind, body, and soul. From wellness tips to personal growth to deep conversations, Julie brings you the stories that inspire change and spark reflection. Don't miss out. Tune into Minds, Body, and Soul on Sundays at 4 p.m. and let Freedom FM guide you to a more balanced and inspired life. Minds, Body, and Soul on Freedom FM Sundays at 4 p.m.
Get the Freedom FM app now. Just search Freedom FM app on Google Play or the Apple App Store and start listening today.
Oh, good afternoon, everyone. It is 1:44 p.m. in St. Kitts and Nevis, where we are broadcasting. It is a wonderful day again in the Caribbean. It's beautiful. Of course, we had some rain over the weekend, but now it's kind of hot. It's kind of hot, not as breezy as it perhaps it was in the morning, but a magnificent day. You are listening to Freedom FM 106.5. This is Issues with your host, Coach Adrian. And remember, from the bottom of my heart, it is just beautiful to know that you are on my show. As usual, before we reach out, before we introduce our topic, we reach out. In fact, as we speak, the world is at war. And the supply chain disruptions are already being felt. The United States and Israelite war on Iran could have, perhaps will leave consumers and businesses all over the world. It's already happening, facing weeks, maybe months of higher fuel prices. The price of gas, the price of diesel. It's already going up, skyrocketing, because production is falling. And where production is not falling, what you have, suppliers are faced with damaged facilities, disrupted distribution networks, and of course, the high risk of shipping. Global oil prices have risen. In fact, that is what my research shows, by more than 25%. If we are not feeling it now, it could be because some of our dealers here, because in the purchase of gas and contracts, perhaps it was what they bought from the previous base price. But down the road, if we are not feeling it already, of course, some of the markets are already feeling it in America and other countries. The fuel prices are actually going up all over the world. Since the war started on February 28, more countries have been drawn into it. Some have been forced to get involved. In the Middle East, what started as U.S., Israel, and Iran war, today, whether some are participating just to protect others, like in the case of some of the European Union countries, we can count Jordan, Iraq, Kuwait, Lebanon, Oman, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Cyprus, and a number of the countries of the EU, as I said, they are entering not so much to fight, but to protect, particularly Cyprus, which is part of the Union. Very soon, I believe we'll begin to see the effects of the war. One, on the supermarket shelves, and we'll begin to feel it on our pocketbooks as food prices will certainly increase further. In fact, every week before the war, it was increasing. Now it will begin to gallop. It is going to be spelling like hard times ahead, hard times ahead. In fact, what we have come to discuss, the West Indies cricket team has been stranded in India. That's what my research shows, that, on the 26th, they were supposed to leave by the 26th or 27th of February. But because of the ongoing war in the Middle East, of course, I suppose flight arrangements and whatever, and delays and cancellation. But they are still have not reached the Caribbean. It is said that by the ICC that if everything goes well, they should leave India by tomorrow, March 10th, because they intend to fly to Johannesburg, and from Johannesburg, they will leave Kolkata into Johannesburg and then make their way up to Antigua. So that's where. So the point that we are making here is, in our little reaching out, is bad times seem to be ahead. One of these talk shows, of course, we'll have to dedicate to the effects of the war. Now, let's run. Let's run like Julian Alfred, Juju, the fastest woman in the world, 100 meters in 10.72 seconds. And she called that Lucia pressure. Today is cricket passion. Freedom FM studio is going to be on fire. I want to warn you, my listeners in Montserrat, my listeners in Nevis, my listeners in Michigan, my listeners in the U.S. Virgin Islands, and my listeners all over, those in the workplace. What about my friends at Bass in St. Peter's? So on my way, what I did, I tried to place the fire department on high alert, because if there is a fire in the studio, so then they will be waiting for that 911. I have two stubborn-minded men in my studio. Two stubborn-minded men. Two sportsmen. Two media men. Men who are not afraid to tell it like it is. I have on my immediate left what I call a class batsman who has walked into, if you want, the avenues of regional and international cricket. He is a highly respected cricket commentator, a die-hard West Indies cricket follower. Victor Eddy with us. In the 70s and the 80s, I never saw him until I came here in 1991. But in the 70s and 80s in St. Lucia, we knew him, and we used to call him the master of spin. By him, I have what I call an authority on West Indies cricket. A one-time favorite voice in cricket commentary. A cricket analyst, one of the best. A media man. the man from the Spice Island himself, Rodney Baptist. Gentlemen, welcome to World Class Radio at its best, Freedom FM 106.5. Before I ask you all to say hello, I just want to tell you all that we are pleased to have you all in our studio, and we have made provision for when the fire begins to light. Say hello, Baptist. Say hello to my people.
Very blessed afternoon to all your listeners, Peter, wherever they may be listening throughout radio and internet land. It's indeed a pleasure to be with you and the esteemed Victor Eddy this afternoon.
Victor, bring the mic towards you. Pull the mic towards you.
Good day to everyone who is tuning right now to Freedom FM for what we are all anticipating to be a very productive and comprehensive package here this afternoon. But whenever I am given an opportunity to speak on cricket, should I make new friends or lose all, I will always enunciate my conscience as I best understand it.
Thank you. Now, gentlemen, before I ask you all to tell, because I normally ask people, no matter how popular you are, because we have quite a listenership in Radio Land, to tell the people a little more about themselves. But before I do that, whenever I get a new guest into our studio, we give them a gift. Now, the gift that we give is we believe highly in health. We believe that health is the power, that health is greater than wealth. In fact, Solomon says that if a man has wealth and he has no health, basically he's wasting time because he can't enjoy it. He can't enjoy it. So we make this book available to our guests. It is called Health and Happiness. Thousands of people are enjoying a more, if you want, enjoyable, abundant life. Thousands of people are having a longer lease on life by following the prescription in this book. I want each of your gentlemen to have one. Eddie, this is yours.
And many thanks there, Peter.
Baptist, this one is yours.
Thank you very much, Peter. It's very much highly appreciated, sir.
Very nice. Now, just for the benefit of our listeners, tell my listeners a little bit who you are. Eddie, begin with you. Tell the listeners who exactly is Victor Eddy.
Well, thanks for the introduction, Peter, and for your opening monologue. My name is Victor Emmanuel Eddy. I am also one of the living sons of the late Austin Alwyn Eddy and Kathleen Eddy, who are now both deceased. And my father, Austin Alwyn Eddy, he was also not just a cricketer, but he was also an administrator, and he was at one time the founder of St. George's Cricket Club. Well, also too, I grew up in a family of 6 where there were 3 girls and 3 boys. My youngest brother, who is Grantley, he has also been deceased, and my eldest brother is Fitzroy Eddy. Well, upcoming in cricket, and more so where at the primary school level I attended the Barstay Boys School, which was my next door residence, so to speak, because it was just of arm's length from my residential area on Seaton Street. And also to Warner Park, where we grew up from youngsters at that age, from the primary school age, playing cricket, and more so when there were summer holidays, our parents, when we left home at mornings, they will see us when the sun went down, because we played cricket all day. And then also too, we participated in local delicacies, and more so in that time when sugarcane was the main industry of St. Kitts and Nevis, and along with other fruits, those used to be on our luncheon intervals, and we all used to have competitive matches. And then I also went on to my first club in local cricket, and for now, I will pause there.
Baptist?
Very blessed and rather pleasant afternoon to you, Peter, Victor, and all your listeners, wherever they may be listening throughout the world. And a very pleasant afternoon to our technician as well, the son of Junie Liebert. That's a name. Just trying to get there. All right. I'm originally from Grenada, the Spice Island of Grenada. I came to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis back in May of 1994. I was actually recruited by the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank to come to St. Kitts, where I first met Mr. Adrian. So Mr. Adrian and I have been colleagues, co-workers at the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, and we have traveled a bit to cover West Indies cricket. We actually covered a test match in Grenada back in some years ago, quite a number of years ago, maybe well over 10 years, when Chris Gill got a triple century at the Queen's Park in St. George's. Ricky Skerritt was then the manager of the West Indies team. So I have had a passion for cricket commentaries ever since I was a youth. My mother loved cricket. My father loved cricket. And cricket has been more or less an integral part of my life. So I have actually grown up around cricket. And I attempted to get into cricket commentaries in Grenada. Didn't quite get through, but came here and had that break in 1998.
Thank you. Good, gentlemen. Now, our topic is West Indies T20 team at the 2026 ICC T20, which concluded yesterday. But just before we begin, I want to set the stage for our listeners. The cricket that we see on TV is packaged and managed by the International Cricket Council, that is the ICC. And of course, the cricket that we see three forms of cricket. We see test cricket, we see what we call the one-day internationals or the ODI, and we see the T20s, that is the one that finishes in 3 hours. That is the Calypso one. That is the entertain one. Now, there was a World Cup for this one. Which ended yesterday. But just to inform our listeners, ICC is the governing body. The ICC has 110 cricket-playing countries. 12 full members play test matches. They are Australia, England, New Zealand, Pakistan, West Indies, India, Sri Lanka, South Africa, Zimbabwe, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, and Ireland. The other 98 associates, they only play ODI, T20, and of course they play the championship qualifiers. Yesterday, the ICC T20 World Cup, which was hosted in India and Sri Lanka, this ended with India winning the championship for a second time. The last time they won in the West Indies. They beat New Zealand in the finals because, of course, they were playing at home. Now, West Indies played unbeaten in Group C. In the Super 8, they played 3, they won 1, and they lost to South Africa and India. So they failed in the quarterfinals, and they were supposed to go home. They should have been home, as I said, but the Middle East war have disrupted that. They are yet to arrive home. Now, we begin now. Gentlemen, the president of Cricket West Indies, Dr. Shallow, congratulated the team. In fact, I got his correspondence. In fact, I must congratulate CWI. They send me every correspondence and every detail. I can't complain. Dr. Shallow congratulated the team and he spoke highly of its performance. Now, what is your take? How do you measure success? How do you evaluate the West Indies cricket T20 team in India? What standard are you using to judge a team or the teams at the World Cup? The floor is open. Gentlemen, who is going to take the first take?
Yeah, thanks for that relevant and permanent and eloquent question, and it's very deep and broad. Well, looking at the present World Cup and where the West Indies got to, I too would also like to endorse the sentiments of the now president of West Indies cricket, Dr. Shallow, in congratulating the West Indies team. In my view, that I thought that they perform very good up to the extent whereby, yes, they lost 2 of their games when they got closer to be advancing. And in my observation, I observe a few things that would have contributed to that aspect. Now, in the first power play, how I will analyze what I consider will be a good foundation to build upon is that even if a team would lose 2 wickets, but in the first power play, which is 6 overs, if that said team get over 55 runs, I would say that would be a very good start. But what is even more relevant to me is that when batsmen would get starts between 1, 2, 3, and 4, and for example, Hetmeyer, who was in the best form as a West Indian batsman in 2026 ICC World Cup, he consistently batted well. One of the things that no doubt he will observe for his future is that in 2020, which I consider as the exhibition, obviously Test cricket is the examination. Now, he would have to realize, because we have all seen from all or most of the teams in the concluded 2026 World Cup, whereby batsmen who got starts, they most of the times went close to the 20 overs allotted to both teams, and others that would come in to join that particular batsman just work, not really playing a role of aggression, but just keeping that current run rate going in terms of avoiding a lot of dot balls. But then, as the conversation will continue, and we will hear the reviews of Rodney Baptiste.
Baptiste, give us. Dr. Shallow congratulated the team. Now the team did well in Group C. They won all the games. But as they move in the Super 8, the different stage, in other words, as they move from the stage from boys to men, they were sent home. What is your take on that? Would you congratulate the team? I say, how do you measure success? How do you evaluate the team in terms of relative to the teams and the performances that you saw in the World Cup? I want you to discuss that. That's the issue I want. We'll talk about the issue as to what we can do about the batsmen and so on. Yeah.
In terms of Dr. Shallow congratulating the team, I thought that was a very appropriate move on the part of the president of CWI, Cricket West Indies. The team performed creditably in the initial stages of the tournament. They won all their games in the group stages, and they were doing very well. I have been so busy that I have not really been following the games live on television or the internet. I rely on people like Troy Biff Mills and the various sports casters like Sugar Bowl and so forth.
You don't have internet?
For the results.
Don't you have internet?
I have internet, but what I'm saying to you is that I have been so busy both at work and preparing for other things that I did not quite follow the tournament as closely as I would have liked to or normally would do. But what I'm saying is I follow the results. I am the administrator of our cricket group chat here in St. Kitts. It's probably the liveliest cricket group chat in the entire Caribbean. And we have posts there as well, Calvin James and company, very much in that. And what I'm saying is that the president of the West Indies Cricket West Indies, CWI, Dr. Shallow, congratulating the team for its performance in the initial stages. To me, that was a very good decision. It was a right move to make because the team performed very well indeed. I was very impressed with the performance of the West Indies team in the early stages of the tournament. I actually said to people, the West Indies is performing very well in this competition. It seems as though they are going to go far. But when they were knocked out, I was a bit surprised because I thought they had the momentum, they had that rhythm, they had the chemistry and everything going for them. So I expected them to go beyond where they reached. I thought they were going to go a lot further. So I was very disappointed when they were knocked out.
Could I just ask a question? Okay then. So they did very well in Group C, where they were.
Very much so.
But what were the teams that they were playing out in the group? At the group stages, the composition of the team was sharply different from the Super 8. Am I correct?
Yes, that is correct.
So comment on that, because in other words, that would help us explain why the lower performance at the Super 8. What does the Super 8 means? What was the composition there? So what was the composition of the teams in the group stages that West Indies played against?
Right,
that is critical. Yeah. Because the listeners must understand that so they can measure what they evaluate what you mean by success. Talk to us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you have made an excellent point. Mm-hmm. You have made an excellent point because at the group stages, for instance, you have a group of 4. Mm-hmm. The composition of that group may not be all that strong. Mm-hmm. So it meant that the West Indies had weaker opposition in the initial stages of
because
group.
They were playing associate teams. It was only England that was in the group.
Right, of Group C.
That's correct.
Right.
Nepal, Italy, and so on.
Right. So when they got to the Super 8, it meant that they were coming up against stronger teams that were of a higher caliber, teams that had better players, both in terms of the batting strength, bowling strength, fielding strength, and all of that.
Let's get Eddie on that. Let's get Eddie on that because I want to stay on that because you'll have to explain to me how you measure success. Yes.
Well, the thing is also, as you all both quietly analyzed it, in my view, appropriately, that by the ICC rankings for 2020, that also would have given valuable indications that when you're going to meet the teams that are in the first 1, 2, 3, 4, or even 5 rankings in ICC 2020, then it actually states that the opponents of that caliber going to be more competitive collectively in all facets of the game, both bowling, batting, fielding, catching, and partnerships. And speaking of partnerships...
Hold on. Could I intervene? Can we interject? Because we can interject.
It can.
Because if that what you're saying there is true, England was in the group C with West Indies.
Yeah.
And they beat them fair and square.
Yes, that's true.
They gave England a solid beating. Yeah. That is one of the best performances. Am I correct?
Yes.
So, and England, mind you, England is, I'm looking at England is ranked number 2. West Indies is ranked number 7. So in other words, even in the group stage, as Rodney was saying, they did show a level of performance that was up there. Remember, they had just come from South Africa and New Zealand.
Yes.
We saw the performances. Right. But the issue is, on top of that, the other teams that they were playing were associate teams. Am I right?
Yes, you're right.
What is the difference? Explain that to me. What about these associate teams?
Well, the associate teams, those who are just getting into the framework of international cricket, West Indies would have had far more experience.
West Indies is a mother. He's a mother like an old grandfather.
Right,
yes.
So they obviously had more experience and they brought it for the fore. But the point that you made about England second in ICC ranking, it also is evidence to how well West Indies perform. Because in defeating the number 2 place ICC ranking in 2020, which is England, that also signifies what we are both agreeing about.
Rodney, I notice you're doing something else. Are you with us?
Yes, I am very much with you. I am very much with you. I am quite good at multitasking.
Yeah, but stay on the program.
Yes, I am with the program.
Okay.
I am very much with the program. The performance of the West Indies team in the initial Group C stage was highly commendable. To me, that was one of the best performances I have seen of the West Indies team in any World Cup in recent times. Even when the West Indies won the World Cup under Darren Sammy. The initial stages, that Group C performance,
that's right. They barely
that
pulled through.
stood out. That really stood out. So it seemed to me that this West Indies team was well gelled, they were well rehearsed, they prepared well for this tournament, both mentally, psychologically, and in terms of the workload.
What makes you say that? What makes you say that?
I think
note what you are saying.
I think
you said they were prepared mentally, psychologically. I'm writing that down.
And in terms,
what about them that make you feel or know that they, or give you the impression that they were prepared psychologically and mentally?
In terms of the results.
Come on,
the performances. The West Indies were looking as though they were virtually unbeatable in that Group C stage, because they beat everybody in Group C.
But they almost lost to Nepal. Nepal was already going to throw them out.
Right, but you...
No, hold on, because they had a narrow escape in Nepal. And then, of course, experience and whatever, they came back and whatever. And then after that, they never stutter again. That's what I'm saying. So
until they got to
going back to the mental preparation, because I like what you said there, and I am not against it, but I'm pushing you. What about them? What about them that gave you the impression that, look, coming from New Zealand where they had performed poorly, coming from South Africa, this is a new performance. What about that? Well, what about them that showed you that?
I thought that the guys realized that they performed poorly on the previous tours. We were beaten by Nepal in Nepal.
Well, that was a low team.
Right.
That was a kind of third-rank team.
Okay. Yes. But we have to give credit to countries like Afghanistan and Nepal for the marked and significant improvements that they have made with their cricket.
Oh, yes.
I am telling you, and it is prophetic. Afghanistan within the next 5 years will be a force to reckon with in international cricket.
Afghanistan wasn't in their group. It was
never mind. Yes. I just thought I had to throw that out.
Okay.
I am warning the other international teams. Watch Afghanistan.
Why not Zimbabwe?
Well,
why not Zimbabwe? Why not Namibia?
I don't really see that. I am speaking.
Zimbabwe sent Australia home.
All right.
No, that's not all right.
That is good.
Australia is a defending champion.
Okay.
Am I correct, Eddie?
Okay.
Zimbabwe beat their backside.
Okay.
And not only beat them,
Peter.
It beat another champion, Sri Lanka.
Hold on. Let me quickly make a point, and Victor will come in.
Yes.
I quite like what you just said. I am very happy to hear what you have just said. Zimbabwe sent Australia packing, and I was very, very happy with that.
You were happy?
Of course.
You're a bad man.
Because hear this. Yeah, it is. Zimbabwe, they have been in the doldrums of international cricket for quite a while.
Politically.
They have had their issues.
Political problem, yes.
They have had their issues,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And I must give credit to the cricket authorities in Zimbabwe, Bulawayo, and the various cities in Zimbabwe where they are working hard to revive their cricket. To revitalize the cricket.
Yes.
I like to see cricket develop and develop globally. So I think that the ICC should do a lot more to develop the game in other islands, in other countries.
You said that
Yeah.
you saw in the West Indies team. We don't want to go astray.
Right.
You saw
Point taken.
You saw some qualities, some evidence that you didn't see on the New Zealand or the South African tour. I saw that too, but I want you to bring it out. What about them that make you saw that? Tell me what about them.
Let me bring it up.
Let Eddie have a word too. Yes.
Eddie will come in shortly. Let me bring it out. Let me bring it out. I believe that based on the poor performances of the West Indies team prior to the World Cup, remember prior to the World Cup, we were like the laughing stock of international cricket.
That's what the figures
beaten by Nepal, beaten here, beaten there.
Nepal was a third-ranked team.
Right.
And by who said?
Right. Look at that. So, I believe, Mr. Adrian, Coach Adrian, that the West Indies management and the captain and the team, they decided here, we owe our West Indian supporters something special.
Yes.
And they purposed in their hearts and their minds that we are going to this World Cup with a mission, with a purpose. And what? Come what may,
what was the mission?
we're beating everybody in Group C.
That's what Tommy said.
And of course, they were on a roll. But when they got to the Super 8, in terms of the strength of that Super 8,
Eddie,
they were then booted out.
I'm not hearing you all say it. I'll have to say it myself.
Well,
Eddie, let me hear you. I agree with you, but you're not saying what I want to hear. I'll say it, yes.
There was some relevant evidence that came out, really, in that. Let's take, for example, partnership in all segments. Fast bowlers, the opening fast bowlers, if you open with two fast bowlers, or whenever they are called into operations, the West Indies fast bowlers, they did not have, even though they won and they played well, they did not have a level of consistency in terms of their accuracy, their tightness, and what the value of their 4 overs would contribute towards the team, which is very, very important. Well, I think 1 or 2 games and so forth, they had good bowling partnership, but collectively, especially the fast bowlers, throughout to where the West Indies got to in the World Cup, I think that was a lacking factor of their collective contributions overall performing.
Okay. This is my impression. I followed all the games. I saw the games. I stayed at nights, and sometimes I didn't sleep. My wife quarreled, whatever. I'm a true blue West Indies supporter. I don't joke about that. And when they don't do well, I tremble like a leaf. That's what I have been doing that since in the 70s when there was no TV and whatever. And no matter what West Indies do, they kill us, we stay with them. We stay with them. I saw, the evidence that I saw is that I saw discipline in approach. I saw difference of strategy. For example, at the top order, Hope and King was supposed to have taken advantage of the power play. But those 2 men were badly out of form. They never took... in other words, our top order never shouted. It was always the middle order. But here was the great Sammy strategy, to bring Hetmeyer at free. Remember, Hetmeyer have been using the IPL and in all franchise just at the end, at the depth, so him to just hit ball in the last 5 overs. Say, Hetmeyer, you are going to be the batsman you were supposed to be.
More or less like a pinch hitter.
He came at free. At free means that if the top falls, you are to cement it, and you are also to accelerate, because deep down in the middle order, you have those fellas who will come after the 10 overs and so on. So Hetmeyer did very well for that. I saw new discipline in Hetmeyer. Hold on, Eddie. I saw new discipline in him. If you notice, I used to call Hetmeyer see-ball, hit ball. And I didn't like him for that. You notice even where he couldn't hit the ball. Notice the number of singles and twos that he did. So that was very good. So in a sense, Hetmeyer changed his approach, his sense of responsibility once they shifted him up. Eddie, you were saying something.
Yes, and to extend upon the point about Hetmeyer, the coach Darren Sammy and the captain, they made a very valuable decision, because any very good batsman, and he Hetmeyer, not just throughout this World Cup tournament, but this would have been one of his better performances in the shorter version of the game, and possibly in the 2020 World Cups. And in bringing him at number 3, usually it is very good to bring, if not your best batsman, or one of the better batsmen in your team to hold that position. And because 2020 is the shorter version of the game, it gives him more access for receiving more deliveries that he can consolidate early. And a point that Peter made, I will totally agree with him. His transition in terms of his organization of batsmanship, his shot selection was a lot much more improved, and his running between the wickets athletically, he showed different signs too, because it looked like he shed some physical weight.
In other words, they are going to make sure that the number of dot balls are diminished.
Avoided,
so
yes.
You can't get the big 6, but take the single, take the twos.
So that was a very good transition, especially on behalf of Hetmeyer, whereby he totally transformed his organization in batting for 2020 cricket. And Darren Sammy must be commended too for that visionary aspect in terms of letting him go in at number 3.
What were the very evident weaknesses that the Super 8 exposed in the West Indies team? The Super 8 exposed some key weaknesses in that T20 team. Unless you all were not looking at the match very forensically. What do you all observe?
Like I said, in the Super 8, you are coming up against stronger teams, because in order to get to the Super 8, you would have had to qualify from the group.
The first 2 teams in the group, they go up.
Right.
The first 2 teams, because the Super 8 is the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the teams that reached the Super 8 are the teams that qualified from their respective groups. As you just said, two top teams from each group were elevated to the Super 8.
And I give you 8.
Right.
Yes,
So it meant, therefore, that when the West Indies got to the Super 8, they were coming up against teams that were much tougher, much stronger, much more challenging, and teams that had more skilled players.
We call them the upper tier teams.
Exactly.
They are the upper tier teams. The India, the England, Australia was booted out. The New Zealand, the South Africa, Pakistan was booted out, because the ranking shows India 1, England 2, Australia 3, New Zealand 4, South Africa 5, Pakistan 6, West Indies 7, Sri Lanka 8, Bangladesh 9, Afghanistan 10, Zimbabwe 11. That is why I was commending Zimbabwe. At 11, they booted out Australia, and they beat Sri Lanka, which is at number 8. But the decisive exposure, West Indies had no bowling to come to get them out. The weakest part of the West Indies team was the bowling armory. That is why, if you look at the most complete teams, the complete teams were the teams that have balance. One, the teams have deep batting. Am I correct?
Of course.
Yes,
of course.
One.
Of course.
Secondly, they have bowlers who can take wicket or prevent you from scoring.
Yes,
that is why Bumrah is so good.
Yeah, and
That's why Boomrock is so good. That's why Asdeep is so good.
Yeah.
In other words, they may not take your wicket, but you ain't hitting them bang bang bang.
Well, and
Can you say that for West Indies bowlers?
No, because
talk to us about that.
No, the thing is, and you're so right, because remember earlier I said that the fast bowlers never bowl in partnership. They had one or two.
No, well, in T20 they don't bowl in partnership. In T20 you can bowl if a spinner, you can even open if a spinner, you can give a man one over and take him out.
Yeah.
That ain't test or one day.
No. But what I meant when they were both on from either end. I refer that as a partnership in bowling, but then they were all over the place apart from one or two matches where they got it right. So I'm in agreement with you that the West Indies bowling was on the par in this World Cup, and it was proven evidently in the matches.
Didn't they knew, Eddie, when the team was selected, didn't the selectors and you and the many others, didn't we know that our bowling armory was not up to standard?
Well, seeing what was presented, the evidence was proven. The evidence was proven by the results that the quality of bowling for World Cup cricket that was completed was not up to par, as you quite rightly said, with the rankings and those. But let me just quickly say about Zimbabwe at number 11 and Australia being placed at number 3. Mm-hmm. That morally is a very good boost to Zimbabwe in 2020, which I think will bring great inspiration to them in going forward, having more confidence that they can repeat more similar performances against those teams who are in the hierarchy. I'm just basing on the result that they got from Australia. I think that will be an inspirational process for Zimbabwe going forward.
I think there is. I'm coming to you, Baptist. I think there is more bragging rights for Zimbabwe in beating Sri Lanka than Australia. I'll tell you why. If we followed the World Cup, Australia was riddled with injuries. A number of their good players could not come to the World Cup. And those who came, some of them had to go back home. Y'all didn't look at the match. Baptist, y'all didn't look at the match. Australia's greatest problem was injury. Not even Smith could come. Look, all the fast bowlers couldn't come because they were riddled with injuries. So although that is not an excuse for them, but I think Zimbabwe would be able to brag more because they built another champion at full strength at their own home, Sri Lanka.
But Peter, are you making an excuse for Australia?
I'm making no excuse. I'm analyzing. There ain't no excuse. Because be careful, that's not an excuse. Because if we say that Nepal beat West Indies, and we say because West Indies is a full test playing country, the history book will never say they beat a West Indies third team. They'll say they beat West Indies.
That's right.
But the point is, in analysis, if you're analyzing properly, this was a few fellas there headed by Hussein.
Yeah. Well,
so be careful. So you can't ignore that Australia was riddled with injury.
Well, Baptist, subject to correction.
Now we are going to open the line.
Subject to correction. Yeah. Peter is right in that you have to indicate, as we are doing now, in educating our listening audience, that yes, Zimbabwe down there at number 10, whatsoever position, way 11. Down there, 11 in ICC rankings, and Australia number 3. But the relevant factor is, and it's not an excuse, but when such valuable players were omitted through injury, it's not going to go down in the history books who did not play. It's going to go down that Australia were defeated by Zimbabwe. But what Peter is indicating to our listeners here on this program also, which I'm in agreement with him, is that those valuable players that were sidelined because of injuries. It was very unfortunate on behalf of Australia, in fairness to them, because we know the capacity and caliber of the players who were injured. So we can move on to our next conversation.
Now, guys, we are going to take an advertising break. And when we come back, we are going to open the line, and then I'm going to ask you all some more. You want to say something? You don't want to wait until we come back?
Before you take the break, I want to say that a team like Zimbabwe, a team like Scotland, a team like Nepal, any of the so-called minnows defeating Australia, Australia has absolutely no excuse to lose to any of those teams, irrespective of the team that they present. The quality of cricket in Australia is probably the highest in the world. Australia have some of the best reserves in the world, so there is no excuse, Peter. No excuse.
Let's take an advertisement break.
FreedomFM1065.com. From St. Kitts and Nevis to the world, Freedom FM 106.5 FM.
Reliable, dependable, Delta. If you live here in St. Kitts and your tank on E, there's only one place that you should be. Maybe driving in Nevis and you need some fuel. Go straight to Delta. Don't be a fool. Get your cooking gas fast. All petroleum needs ULSD. Everyone in the region is shouting, Go Delta. Premium gasoline in a fully stocked C-store. So there's only one place you should be. Delta Petroleum, baby.
Every day we're faced with choices: to spend or to save, to delay or to stay on track. It's discipline that shapes our future, because discipline means making the choice today that pays off tomorrow. Remember, discipline, choice, pays. A message from the Development Bank of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Have you heard that Mind, Body, and Soul is back?
Yes, Mind, Body, and Soul is back on Sundays at 4 p.m. only on Freedom FM, hosted by the inspiring Julie Charles. This is your go-to show for thought-provoking and uplifting conversations. Every Sunday, dive into topics that nourish your mind, body, and soul. From wellness tips to personal growth to deep conversations, Julie brings you the stories that inspire change and spark reflection. Don't miss out. Tune into Minds, Body, and Soul on Sundays at 4 p.m. and let Freedom FM guide you to a more balanced and inspired life. Minds, Body, and Soul on Freedom FM Sundays at 4 p.m.
Get the Freedom FM app now. Just search Freedom FM app on Google Play or the Apple App Store and start listening today.
Welcome back to Issues. This is Freedom FM 106.5. We are broadcasting from Sugar City, St. Kitts. This is Issues with your host, Coach Adrian. We are discussing passionately about West Indies cricket. Yesterday, the T20 ICC men's T20 completed yesterday in India. India emerged as champion, having won the finals against New Zealand. And it was a solid beating. It almost a mismatch. And we are discussing the West Indies cricket. West Indies went out of the competition in the quarterfinals. Now, we have with us in studio Victor Eddy and our commentator, Rodney Baptist. We are going to open the line. We don't have very much time. It is 2:26 in the PM. Time flies very quickly. have someone online already. We have someone on air.
Hello, Peter.
Yes, you're on air.
What's your Peter?
Yes, talk to me.
We had a big talk concerning Shanda Shaker and Pungwak. I don't see Pungwak doing no difference with the ball. Shanda Shaker was a better spinner than him. And to watch how he wrap up New Zealand, I think if West Indies will reach the final, we could have win that in Darren Sammy do damn well. He do fine. And we will win that thing the next time around because our youngsters, them, show the rest across the Caribbean, we have what it takes. We is cricket, and we teach many. Have a good afternoon, Peter. And
Very much. Gentlemen, we have to comment on it. He raised the point that the fear of Boomerang, that's one. He raised the point that West Indies would have competed more or be more competitive with India in the finals, if they were in the finals. And he also said that he brought the issue of Sammy, that Sammy did a good job. Now, note that. We'll discuss on that. You want air, please? Somebody, note that. Somebody, you want air, please? This one cut off. So comment on that. Gentlemen, you all are not with me, you know? Yeah. Comment on the issue here.
Yeah, what he said was very relevant, and not just in Bumrah's situation. Yeah. Any quality bowler in whatsoever area you are, but Bumrah as a fast bowler, and he's up there as a number one. In that, in his 4 overs, if he does not get a wicket and you does not get anything close to 50 or over, well, he has won. In that sense, his 4 overs has done his team a very, very valuable service. But the quality of Bumrah, what from my position as a former batsman, when you meet such quality bowlers in the shorter version of the game, most of the times are on a consistent pattern. You don't get a lot of loose deliveries. So it means you have to play with soft hands and look for the ones and the twos. And if the bad delivery presents itself, then you capitalize on it. You don't try to make good deliveries bad from quality bowlers like Bumrah. And he was the very, very outstanding performer, also too with other performers in that final that win India won. But in my view, most of the times is bowlers win matches, and in my view, he won that match handsomely in terms of what was required of him of 4 overs, and I think was just possibly some 12 runs. And what was even more outstanding about that World Cup Championship victory for India, they defeated New Zealand by 96 runs.
Yeah, but let's stay on the issue Bumrah.
Yeah.
You said that a good bowler, even if you can hit him, you can just knock him around and whatever. If you can get a 6, you can get a 8 per over. If a loose ball comes, you take it. So if that is right, that is where I fought in that first game. Hetmyer made a serious mental problem. Very bad judgment. In fact, not only that, before, okay, you on air, please. We'll come back to that. You on air?
Good afternoon, Peter.
Afternoon, sir.
Coach, Caribbean man.
Me?
Okay. To the panel, any one of you guys see the dismissal of Hetmyer against India?
Yeah. We're writing it down, yes.
Did you look at it?
Yes, well, I look at it.
What do you think?
Yeah. Continue.
What was your take on the out against Hetmyer?
What do you all say? You don't mind if we speak back to you?
Okay, cool.
What do you all take?
Well, it was referred to the third umpire.
No.
What did you say?
That's not what he's after.
What?
He's after Hetmyer was batting. They made a choice to bring Bumrah against him. Bumrah has taken him before, and Bumrah has a particular ball that he gives him on leg moving away from him. That's what he's talking about.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in that sense then, and that is very accurate.
Uh-huh.
So then, psychologically, because he Bumrah has succeeded in dismissing Hetmeyer.
But what did Hetmeyer do? What did Hetmeyer do?
Well, give me a little break. I'll come to that. Now, in that, it was short of a good length delivery, and from my estimation, it looked like it was heading somewhere in the direction of middle stump, and he was trying to hit it through or over mid wicket and not down to mid on. That is what I saw. And really, that type of delivery, I think the shot selection was inappropriate for that delivery.
I think he was preconceived. He intended to hit the ball before. In other words, he was not playing the ball on merit. Now, while the comment, okay, you on air, please. It's gone. While the commentators were saying that, look, Bumrah is coming to him, and we are hoping that he plays the ball on merit, because Bumrah, sometimes his very first ball, after the long run there, is a slower ball. And that's how he got some of his victims. So, you on air, please.
Greetings.
Yes, talk to me.
Thanks for taking over call.
Come on.
Thanks for the reasoning. We can't play cricket, you know. We can't play cricket.
Talk to me.
We love the game. We used to get our little teaching from King Franca and Bones when they come down with Will. And your guest in studio, Ras Emmanuel. We listen to him any more reason.
Just this weekend, I was talking about the King, man, the King Franca. I was looking at the West Indies video, Fire in Babylon. You know that video?
Of course.
Yeah, yeah, man. That every West Indian supporter is supposed to have that Fire in Babylon. Suppose if somebody want, they can get a copy from me. But that's a beautiful. Go on.
You know what we want to talk about is really the name of the team, which represents us as the people. It is not an appropriate name, and it can also be. I hear in the word used psychological. I'm hearing it used often in the reasoning, and it can be a psychological defeat even before the game of play, because everyone else is carrying their true identity as a team. But when we stand under this umbrella as West Indies, no, it's not right. And it needs
Justin, what you suggesting? I know where you're going, and I don't mind that. What you suggesting?
No, I prefer if it come from people like you all. Yeah. it is not a good name. I wish the team all the best still, but the name needs to change like yesteryears.
Difficult because it's the planter class and it's the landed class, those so-called landed class who are controlling West Indies cricket, all of those boys, who they're off-white, the name come from there, and they ain't gonna change easily, but I see where you're coming from.
We've been speaking a lot about West Indies performances and comprehensively about the World Cup performances overall, and all in all, we saw great cricket. Do we have a call on the line?
You want air, please? We're losing them.
Yeah, and that is very fundamental. Now, most of the times, we see it in basketball. We see it also in cricket, whereby the crowd support homely. It's very highly inspirational to any team, and in India, because they take cricket like a religion, they are so passionate about the sport. But what I also thought quickly about that toss, though, that New Zealand, even though I think they based it on in chasing, they have won more matches. That's why they decided to ask India to bat first. Mm-hmm. But it could have been the reverse to surprise India. After winning the toss, New Zealand, to go in and bat first, because they would have been preparing that this is usually the pattern for New Zealand. A call on the line?
Yeah, we're on line. Air, please.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Well, the West Indies lost because they had inconsistent batting. bowling that didn't penetrate, and the fielding at times, too much lapses in the field. Following the 5-wicket loss to India in their final Super 8 match at Eden Gardens, which denied them a semi-final spot, they set a competitive total, but to me, they were 20, 30 runs short, and I thought they would have gotten over 200 runs. And the 195 for 4, they could not defend the total against India's batting, led by Sanju Samson. Let's be realistic. I thought the West Indies lacked a bowler with penetration like Narayan. I mean, Narayan, to me, is a very consistent bowler, and he could take a wicket for you at the right time. West Indies didn't have such a bowler. Not denying that the two spin bowlers who played, they're good, but they're not in the class of Narayan as yet. Let's hope they will get there one day soon.
Thank you, caller. To the issue that is raised there, that the weaknesses that we are speaking about that came out of the Super 8, that is the level of fielding, the quality of the bowling, and the consistency of the batting. Let me hear you on that, Rodney. I have
bearing in mind that the West Indies did so well early in Group C.
But Group C is a feeder group.
Right. Here my point. My point is they did sufficiently well in Group C in order to qualify for the Super 8, which meant that their batting fired in Group C, their bowling fired as well. I would like to hear from you a bit later what you think, even Victor, would have been a better bowling composition for the just concluded World Cup. Who do you think they could have included in the World Cup squad who were left home, and those who you thought went to the World Cup and probably should have been left home in order to bolster or strengthen our bowling? Because, for instance, one caller mentioned that had West Indies competed against India in the finals, probably the West Indies would have won that finals. I don't quite agree with that because the Indians are very, very hard to beat on home soil. The Indian
in T20, you have to be very careful.
Okay.
When we could you give me just
sure.
There?
Go right ahead.
When we speak into our public, we must let our public know that the cricket that they knew of Viv Richards' days and Sobers and what we know now is not the same. Our cricket generally was test cricket, but the cricket we're talking about now, there are free versions. There is T20, which is the entertainment cricket that we see in our franchise all over the world. Now, there is one-day international, and then there is
50-50, yeah.
So what we are talking about
specifically
West Indies competing in that T20 short version. Continue.
Exactly. So I think that maybe the West Indies left home or left out, they omitted some quality bowlers who probably could have been or should have been in the T20 World Cup squad. I do not believe the West Indies would have beaten India in the finals. The West Indies might have been competitive in the finals, yes, but India would always have the edge.
Why?
They have the home crowd support. They have the personnel with the technical skills. The Indian batting is one of the strongest in the world. The IPL is probably the strongest franchise tournament in the world. There's no question about it. And it's difficult to beat India anywhere. Cricket is like a religion in India. Indians take cricket very, very seriously. Right now, the Indians have a 14-year-old who is dominating franchise cricket, IPL cricket, 14 years. I mean,
what you are not saying to them, you must say numbers. We are small population.
Exactly.
We have a very
and that's
people.
A huge disadvantage.
If you look at the countries, Australia, England, Pakistan, if you were to look at registered professional cricketers,
they have more to choose from.
They have a
greater pool.
so many that they can even at the level of the World Cup. They can file 4-5 teams.
Exactly. And that is why I said Australia had no excuse losing to Zimbabwe, because Australia, their cricket structure is one of the strongest in the world.
Yes.
And they have some of the best reserves in the world. I'm going to ask you a question.
The BBL is also of high level.
Right.
The Big Bash League.
I will throw out a question now for you to ponder on before I allow Victor to come in. Do you think that the ICC, the International Cricket Council, they set up things all the time in all these tournaments for India to win?
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by set up thing? Is that like casino? That is what?
Right, let me explain.
You mean
Let me explain.
Match fixing?
Okay, no. Of course no.
Yeah, well,
I'm not speaking about that.
Remember,
because India.
Please, sir, remember that we are speaking to an international public. Wait. We are speaking to an international public.
I will explain
who
myself.
Are hearing us. So we must make sure when we say the thing,
I am going to explain.
Are we giving them an impression that Australia did fix the tournament that England would win?
I'm not speaking about match fixing at all.
Explain yourself.
India is so strong, there is no need for India to rely on match fixing to win any tournament. At all. Not at all. I am saying that the ICC, the International Cricket Council, at this current moment, at this present moment, is controlled by India, Australia, and England. Hear me out. Look at it. The semi-finals was staged in India, in spite of the fact that India co-hosted the tournament with Sri Lanka. Yeah. Why wasn't the semi-finals staged or hosted in Colombo, the capital of Sri Lanka?
Money.
I believe it could have been more equally shared with a lot more equity by Sri Lanka hosting the semi-finals than India hosting the finals. The Sri Lankan population is equally large. So I believe that the ICC, they favor India because India, Australia, and England, they control the International Cricket Council. And I make no apologies for saying that.
What that have to do, I agree. Let us say what you said there was right. But what that have to do with the outcome of the game?
Well,
however, what is online? Back to you. You on air, please. Okay. We can say India has larger stadium and they can take more people and whatever, the population is larger. And of course, remember, what drives this game is sponsors, the premium sponsors. Premium sponsors want the game to be where they can have the largest crowd and whatever. Now,
and make the most money.
But let's, of course, that's what I'm saying. But I ask you the question, what has that to do with the outcome of the tournament?
I am not saying...
How did that influence the outcome of the tournament?
I am not saying that it influenced the outcome of the tournament in any significant way. Because to me, irrespective of where the finals were staged or hosted, India would have still won. It is not easy to beat India.
You are a prophet of doom?
No.
No, you're going off. You know you're off.
No, I'm not going off.
Cricket is, and I'll remind you from the great Austin Eddy, cricket is, and he always remind me before he died, the game of glorious uncertainties. You cannot tell, particularly in this T20, boy, the weakest team can beat you because you cannot tell what can happen. How can you be so bold to make a statement that no matter where and no matter who India was playing with, they were going to win? You are prophet of doom, man. No, you are false prophet, man. Let me hear you, Eddie.
Well, the thing is, you all have said a lot there in that conversation, but I would just like to reflect and refer something back to Baptiste that he mentioned. We all agree that the West Indies bowlers who went to the most recent concluded World Cup where India won handsomely, in all facets, they outplayed New Zealand. But, Baptiste, could you probably tell our listeners now then, who would have been your alternatives to what the West Indies sent to the World Cup in terms of what you were saying about the bowling being weak and so on? But were there better alternatives than who were there? And who were there for
you're not fair, Eddie. This is what Baptist asked. Baptist asked that question. Baptist is saying that he believed the reservoir, the pool from which we have to select in the West Indies is so small and it is so shallow that he does not believe. Well, of course, one or two of them were out because of maybe that boy Ogis or Atanas might have been there. If not injury, Alzari would have been there. But outside of that, he is saying that, look, it is so dry. Who are the people? If you notice, the Pollards, the Russells, and the other guys, they left us. Poran, in his youth, he retired at a time collectively together, we don't have a replacement.
That's
I think that's where Baptist is going.
But yeah, we have to face the realities because there's no alternative.
Somebody's on air. Please. You on air, please? Getting through, I always say you can WhatsApp me at 6689752. I will take your message, of course, I'll read it and we'll discuss it just the same. Guys, we have about 5 more minutes.
Well, I think we should place some more emphasis on.
Now there is a question. Go on.
I think we should place it finally in this few moments that we have about the Indian victory 2026 as the champions, and collectively what we thought brought them to that final result in that commanding way that they have played in this 2026 World Cup series.
But if we end our program like that, we will be trying to glorify India.
But if we they are the winners.
No,
it's not about glorification. It is not about glorification. It is not about glorification of India.
Somebody.
It is about
somebody's on air.
No. Eddie's trying to say is giving credit where credit is due.
Yeah, it is.
Somebody is on air. Someone is on air. Is. But guys, our program here is set up to discuss West Indies team. In fact, we should end up by where do we go from now? What can we do? Because that's what your question was pointing to. How can we do to beef up the T20? We're not going to spend time on India.
No. Wait a while.
We are not going to waste our next 5 minutes on India.
Okay, but wait a while though. But even before, you yourself as the host, you did not brought it up so we could have had a discussion about how world champions in 2026.
I don't want to do that. I'm not interested in that.
Okay, so we are not discussing World Cup cricket.
No, we're discussing West Indies at the World Cup. That is what the topic is. West Indies team at the World Cup. That's what we're discussing. So now we want to talk about, guys, seeing that we are out, what can we do, Sammy and the rest, to build a stronger team? That's what we must talk about in the last 5 minutes.
For the next World Cup.
Or going forward.
Going forward.
That's what we must talk about.
Yes,
Let me hear you on that.
I quite agree with you, Peter.
Let me hear you on that.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Yes.
I think Sammy and company, the management staff, the coaching staff of the West Indies team in the just concluded World Cup, they did pretty well. Mm-hmm. And we must commend them highly. We must compliment the squad, the entire team that represented the West Indies so reasonably well in the just concluded.
You have 2 calls? Oh, good. Yes. Okay, so what do we do?
I think going forward,
let's deal with the bowling.
Yes, going forward, we would need to look at our bowling attack. We would probably need to balance it a bit more and try to have players who can take wickets for us.
We need to find them in the CPL.
Exactly.
That CPL coming here is critical to us.
Because
we need to send scouts to find and give more exposure to the youngsters.
Definitely.
And find them. Because the CPL is our feeder.
Yeah, exactly.
Am I correct?
Precisely.
Okay, what about the batting?
Precisely. The batting, I think the batsmen can go back to basics. They can go back to the drawing board and look to hone their skills some more, fine-tune their skills, play more tournaments.
They need to score faster.
Right, play more tournaments and get into the nick of things and try to increase the scoring rates. And
what about the captaincy?
Well, I
hope sometimes he look like he don't know what he's doing behind the stump. Why not let him bat alone and let Rovman come back?
Right, that's a good.
Or Jason Holder.
That's a good suggestion, which means that he would be able to focus more on what the team is doing and concentrate a little bit more on his batting, and maybe someone else can keep wicket.
Eddie, what is your way forward for? What do we do?
Well, one of the stages, as you quite rightly outlined, is the CPL. Yes. From the CPL, when you would have identified all bowlers, especially in whatsoever area they are, and you realize, look, these set of fast bowlers and these set of medium pacers and these spinners, they have very good
wrist spinners. Look for those wrist spinners.
Yeah. Well, because we have a Mackenzie and some others and so forth, which is a rarity, and that is a quality. But then when you identify cricketers that have that capacity where they can be elevated, the mentorship of who is going to get close to them also is of value. But what I believe in all facets of the game for West Indies cricket too, all the cricketers in their different areas, is that because now the media is there, and if you are an opening batsman in 2020 cricket, you can personally go to your room, look at particular batsmen as how, especially in the opening process of that first power play, how they organize their innings in terms of shot selections and what to avoid and what to go after. So a lot of responsibilities too, apart from the coach, because when you're in the wicket, the coach could say as much as he like. That's his job. But the batsmen out there have to realize, hey, well, Peter Boy, the pitch is playing different to what our coach says.
And you used to be in the wicket.
Yeah, so in the wicket.
You have had to rescue Combine Islands.
Well, yes, all that is history now. But
you want Irvin Shillingford.
Well, I'm referring to him as the late master. And quickly though, even though it is not personally about me, it's about West Indies cricket, but I was a part, and that was a good point. And thank you very much for that.
If it was like today, you would walk into those teams.
But outside of that though, when the Tantimore match, which was a famous one, by the thing and so forth, you could imagine Combine Islands 11 for 3, Victor Eddy walking to the crease, Irvin Shillingford, a far better batsman than myself. And for those of you who want to get some justification, just check his records. And he met me halfway, and he said to me before I face a ball, Victor, I would like you to face more Afin Ali. So I said to Irvin then, well, Irvin, you are the better batsman. He said, no, it's not about who is the better batsman. It's about the partnership.
That's correct.
And that too, from my experience, is also an appropriate thing. Because, say, for instance,
now let me send a bomb to the two of you all now, because we are about to close. Let me send a bomb to you all. Now, what you all are saying to the public is, you Baptists in particular, you are saying we must give our batsmen and bowlers more T20 exposure. So which means, therefore, they must play the franchise, the SA in Africa, the ML in America. They must play the 100 in England. They must play the IPL. They must play everywhere. But do you understand? While you are doing that, you're not going to have the services for your own T20. So how do you reconcile that? Come on, answer me.
Well,
because the two must be done.
Yeah, I think a balance has to be created here. The CWI has to find a way to create a balance, and I believe one of the ways in which that can be done is through timing. We have to look at timing.
But ICC timetable is already set. Remember, ICC timetable is already set. Any bilateral is between the two of you all to squeeze in. And remember, the timetable is so cluttered because it has to cater for all these leagues and plus all these matches and so on.
You're quite right. So it's very challenging.
Yes,
it is very, very challenging indeed.
So many times, many of your matches, some of your players will not be available.
A lot of clashes. There will be a lot of clashes. I want to quickly say something before closing.
Yes.
In response...
In fact, give us your closing remarks. We don't have how much time. Then we'll take Eddie.
Right. In response to a question from Jam Dong tried to compare Bagwat Chandrasekhar and Bumrah. I do not think it is fair to compare
one is a spinner
and a fast bowler, in case you're listening, Jam Dong. And two other things, quickly. I want to highly commend Kunal Tilokani for making the West Indies under-19 team, which competed or participated in the recently concluded under-19 World Cup tournament. And I also must highly commend Miss Jazara Claxton out of SP, where the best be, Sandy Point, for making a West Indies women's team from an island where we do not have a women's cricket league. Kudos.
We had already bigger up
Kudos
on that program.
to Jazara Claxton.
We had already bigger up on that program.
A blessed afternoon to all.
So give us your closing remarks.
Well, it was my very respectful purpose for being here on this program, and I hope that we have gave some valuable ideas, but the more valuable ideas can come from you, the callers, and we are sorry that we could not accommodate more callers. There might have just been some technical difficulties, so you will bear with us. But in going forward, though, Peter, my last point about going forward for West Indies cricket, I think in all aspects now where the young cricketers can go to any site now and see former cricketers. If you are opening batsman, if you are fast bowler, if you are a spinner, you can go and see what did Gordon Greenidge and Desmond Haynes, what made them successful. You know, as a batsman, looking at it.
They didn't play T20.
No. Apart from that, batsmanship, because you can, once you're a batsman, you should be able to make an adjustment to all areas of the game. So in conclusion, I would say that our players need to look at more documentary of players. Look, for example, you speak about mere spinners, about spinners. That is a reality for those who saw physically, but those by the internet now who can see Brian Charles Lara. Why is there so much deficiencies in West Indies batsmen techniques in plain spin bowling when they can go and look at how the master of them all did it, Brian Charles Lara?
Why didn't you ask the question, why is not Brian part of the technical team?
Well,
that's a key question.
That is a different conversation.
I like what you said. My listeners, we are very sorry that if we didn't get a lot of your calls. I think maybe we had some technical difficulty. But I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for participation. We had two stubborn men in our studio, and you saw they were hot. I didn't have to call the fire brigade, even if I had alerted them. I want to thank you, gentlemen. We are very passionate. We are emotional about West Indies cricket. And therefore, any time we meet, we'll never finish the agenda. So I hope at a subsequent time I can get you all guys for us to speak. Now, next week, my listeners, I quote, the St. Kitts and Nevis staff concluding statement of the 2026 Article 4 mission, March 2, 2026 was published. I got a copy of that. Next week, we will do some introductory discussion on the IMF statement. I want to thank you for your participation and all the people who take time to listen and to contribute. Until next week, this is Coach Adrian saying bye-bye.
Nice.